Hello, welcome to a Drink A Natter. I'm Jackie, your juicy chef, and today I have a very special guest with me, my dear friend Diana Ogilvy, filmmaker extraordinaire, a beautiful travel writer. You know this is Nyam and Trod. It's about food, it's about travel, but today we're going to speak about food and travel through film.
Yes.
And it's so wonderful to see a growing cadre of filmmakers, female filmmakers, and Diana is one of those quiet ones. She doesn't like to be, as most creatives, she likes to be behind the scenes, not in front of camera. Or in today's case, we're listening.
Yes.
Our audience is listening. We're here in sunny Jamaica. It's a beautiful warm day. We've just had loads of rain. The birds are chirping. Somebody, you smell that, like somebody's cooking something somewhere. Some beautiful scents in the air. It's just a beautiful, beautiful day for us to have this discussion today. And I just, tell our audience a bit about yourself. She's a nomad like me, guys. She has some fascinating tales.
Well, thank you so much for having me here in your beautiful garden. I'm loving being surrounded by nature and all the birds are chirping. So it's quite relaxing to be here and to talk to you today. Yes, a little bit about myself. Born and raised here in Jamaica. I left when I was a young teenager. Went to New York. I was there for over 30 years. And then one day I just upped and quit my job as a flight attendant and moved to Indonesia. And I think that's probably like where my adult life began. So I lived in Bali for 4 years and I call Bali my spiritual home. I've never felt more at peace and at home than I was in Bali. And being Jamaican, Jamaica's a different vibe.
Right.
Like Jamaica will always be home, my ancestral home, my roots. But when I go to Bali, it's on a different level.
I can imagine.
So I was there for a few years and I was working mostly in food writing. That's what really started to build up my food and travel writing resumes.
Definitely.
Working with, the likes of CNN Travel, Salon, Guardian. I mean, I was quite lucky for someone who was, just starting out really in her 30s.
Yes.
With the bylines that I've gotten.
No, definitely, because I actually read a few of your pieces before we actually met.
Yeah.
And for our audience out there, we actually met because of our writing.
Right.
Diana, when I was writing for the Jamaica Observer, Diana actually reached out to me because she did this amazing documentary on jerk cuisine on the island. And at the time, it was around the time I was starting out with Meatless Monday Jamaica, and you were like, Jackie, who are the food people on the island?
Yes.
I remember I did the jerk vegetables at the time.
God.
Everybody was doing meat. I'm like, right, mate, I'm doing some jerk vegetables for you.
Knocked it out of the park. It was jerk I'll never forget it. Jerk vegetables with goat cheese and honey.
Oh my God. And that Appleton rum sauce.
Cheese
You got to put the rum in it, right?
It was so good. I'll
Yeah.
never forget that dish. And I mean, even that day, like the chefs that were passing through, we had Gary's pig in a box, another memorable meal, and Colin did his passion fruit cheesecake.
Oh,
And that was just such. I was such an. When you talk about food experiences,
Yeah.
I remember I was visiting from New York and I'm like, I need to shoot this documentary. Like you're on a journey,
Right.
and you're on this creative journey. You have to see it through.
Yes.
And those times I wasn't sleeping because I was just so engrossed
Right.
in the creative process.
Definitely.
And then that day just stood out, just meeting some really lovely, lovely people.
And that's so important. Why I was so happy is like, here you are, a Jamaican, living abroad. You've come back full circle.
Yeah.
And what I liked was the fact that you sought us out. Sometimes we have foreigners who come to the island and it's like what they've read in tourism, press, etc. You wanted the real people who Jamaicans themselves go to.
Yeah.
And you also want to showcase not just a stereotypical jerk shack, and as you and I know, there's so much more to Jamaican cuisine than jerk. Yes, we love our jerk. Jerk has become popular. And as a matter of fact, some of us get annoyed by what is called a jerk overseas.
Hello.
Anybody just, we talk about cultural appropriation of our food. Again, I have nothing against appreciation once it's done in an authentic manner. But, you spoke about Bali. And we're here in Jamaica, two island cultures,
Right.
two
Yes.
very dissimilar. There is a Hindu culture. Here's a Christian culture.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about that laid backness, that spiritualness. Some people come to Jamaica because of the Rasta faith, and they find a
Yes.
meditation
Yes.
through our Rastafarian culture. So for like a novice who has not been to Bali, in terms of the whole temple culture,
Yes.
etc., you were telling me the other day about all these different festivities and stuff. So what can somebody expect who may be on a spiritual journey, and they want to nyam and trod their way throughout Bali? Where would you tell them to start, just to kind of ease themselves into that culture?
Yeah, definitely head straight to Ubud,
Okay.
which is I call Ubud the heartbeat. It was like the cultural heartbeat of Bali. It's where it's smack dab in the center of the island, and it's where many, many, many of the temples are, and a lot of new age yogis go there for spirituality. There's talk of like there's different vortexes running through there, so if you're on that level, but also it's just super duper quiet. And they have a bunch of Vipassana retreats where it's just no talking, no writing, no outward expression of any kind, right? And also that's where you see a lot of local activities where the Balinese go out 5-6 times a day and offer with offerings to their different gods. So there's where you see the culture like really intrinsically wound up in everyday life. So even if you have someone who works at an office, they take a quick 10-minute break, run out, do their quick prayer with their offerings to the gods, and then they move on with the rest of their day. And what I love about there as well is something that you really can't build a building more than 4 stories high because the gods need to come down from the heavens to see.
That's amazing.
So-
And Jamaica used to be like that. In Negril back in the day, the ordinance was, because I came from a hospitality background, that you couldn't build a building taller than a palm tree. So where that has more of a religious significance,
Yes.
ours was more of like an environmental significance. And speaking of environment, climate, as small nation states, etc., are the Balinesians very climate conscious and preserving their natural habitats the way we now are playing catch up to kind of stop certain things?
Absolutely. I mean, you see banyan trees hundreds of years old, sometimes even a half of a century of a year old, and those trees are revered. You can't have any construction around a banyan tree. Their waterways are sacred space because, like I said, gods are intrinsically wound up in everything that they do. So you have the water gods, the river gods, the sky gods, the gods of the rice fields.
Oh, wow,
So
yeah.
everything it's built around their faith.
Okay.
I mean, I've been in traffic and I've seen, at the time I was driving a little Yaris, and traffic came to a standstill because a mother duck was crossing with her ducklings.
Oh, I love that.
And I mean, even though it's a motorbike culture, the motorbikes didn't zip around them. Like
Yes.
everybody stopped so the mother and the ducklings can get across the street. And that was just beautiful to me. It was such a moment of wonder that it just brought tears to my eyes.
And we're segue from this peaceful moment. So you have a story about an erupting volcano. So that little excitement in your life, tell us about, I mean, we hear about volcano eruptions. Jamaica, yes, we know a lot of the Caribbean islands were built on volcanic rock, but outside of what happened, unfortunately, in Montserrat, we so far we've been fortunate, but tell us about that experience. I cannot believe.
Yeah, so I was in Jakarta at the time because when I first moved to Indonesia, I was in Jakarta for a year. And in order to get out of Jakarta, because Jakarta is like this big, bustling, whole heap of traffic, whole heap of everything. So I would always schedule trips to go out. So I wanted to go to Kintamani. And we booked a guide, and it was like a journey because one of those trips you had to take a boat, 2 taxis, and a small plane.
Serious trekking.
Because we wanted to get there. So we went and we had a guide, and we're hiking up, and everything is fine. It's beautiful. We're looking out. We're seeing turtles in the ocean because it's like we're really off the grid,
Yes.
So come to find out now, we go to a little island named Enak Krakatau. And in Indonesian, it means child of Krakatau.
Okay.
So then I was like, wait, is this a Krakatau I read about in primary school,
Yeah.
right? So turns out in the 1800s, there was like this huge eruption of Mount Krakatau, and it split the island into two.
Wow.
And then so Anak Krakatau was the island that came up out of
Okay.
it. So they said ashes went as far as Italy,
Whoa.
right?
It's
Like the
major.
winds carried it. So all right, here we are. We're hiking up Krakatau, and then I just feel the mountain do this.
Oh my goodness.
So I look to my guide. I don't see him.
Yeah.
The man is booking down the hill, and he's just going, no, 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 no.
Yes.
So we ran after him because we were like, what is happening?
Yes.
And then we jumped in the boat, and he's like, you know, it's kind of this mountain. Sometimes you don't know.
No
And
warning.
then-
He just,
no
oh,
warning.
yeah.
He just left us. I guess if we weren't as fast as him, he would have been paddled away with us.
Right.
But that was like exhilarating.
We're both lovers of Scandinavia. Me, Iceland, you, Finland. I mean, I think it's just a fascinating part of Europe.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people, when they think Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, all great countries. But I think Finland and Iceland have a bit of character to them. Greenland even. A lot of people are unaware of the indigenous people of Scandinavia. You know, they think of Canada and the Inuits and stuff. You know, Scandinavia has, you know, interested indigenous people in Greenland, you know, which is owned by Denmark.
Yes.
But Finland is its own independent country. And then there's Lapland, which with the Sami people. And I know you've encountered them. And
Yes.
you could tell us a bit about that experience.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I was on a press trip and I was out in Helsinki. So we did 2 nights in Helsinki and we did the city life. And let me tell you something, the Finns.
Yes.
I've never seen people that dress to the nines, you know. Like
Yes.
they're running to the supermarket and everybody had on like red lipstick or they're just like
Yeah, they're
well
very classy
put together.
people.
Very, I mean, the street style there. I think I did like a bunch of photographs, just photographing
Yeah.
people because they look so nice.
Oh, and let's tell our audience too. So outside of her being a brilliant filmmaker and a brilliant food and travel writer, Dana is also an amazing photographer. You know what I loved about the sauna culture?
Oh my goodness, yeah. So in
Yeah.
Lapland, that's where we discovered the sauna culture, right? So like people, the Finns, you know, if you live in the city, every family has their own little sauna, and it's right by either a river or a lake or a pond. So you go in the sauna, and you know you're super hot, and then you jump into the ice cold water, repeat, and you just do that. And then in the summertime, they'll have their barbecues out. So there's sausages and there's cured salmon. There's regular salmon. I had so much salmon. in
Yeah, the
Finland.
salmon there's the best.
So the Laplands now, that journey took us, it was like about an 8-hour train ride from Helsinki, and we went way up into like the Arctic Circle,
Yeah,
right?
So you're bordering Russia.
Yeah,
they're
right. Because
there,
it was Rovaniemi, and Russia was like literally like not like Miss Sarah, but we could literally see
Right.
Russia
Yes.
from where we were
Yes.
in Rovaniemi. So the Lapland culture, I mean, the Sami people were just like really amazing. That's where I had a reindeer for the first time. And, you know, we went on a reindeer farm and we're petting them. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Rudolph, I'm going to eat you later.
Yeah.
You know, so we had that. And it was really simple. The meat wasn't so gamey. So it was that with lingonberries and mashed
Oh, I love the
potatoes.
lingonberries.
And that was just
Yes.
like how we have Arkansas fish.
Right.
That's their national.
Definitely,
That's their
yeah.
national
Such a
dish.
good. It's a good.
Yeah.
It's oh, I love Scandinavia. You know, that culture, even how they design and
So clean.
clean. Yeah, the aesthetic is just
Yeah.
amazing. I can imagine as a filmmaker, you know, how inspired you were by those landscapes and their
Yes.
use of, you know, that barren Arctic world, but
Yes.
how they blend into nature and how you feel. It's kind of like when I was a safari in Africa too. You know, when you're in those wide open spaces, whether it's safari, arid, baobab trees, or
Yes.
ice glacial wonders of Scandinavia, it's humbling
Really
to
is.
be in nature like that silence of nature, and just hearing your thoughts so loudly. That is, like you said, it's a meditation. I think for those of us who are nomadic by nature, it travel for me is like a medicine.
It really is.
You know, and people are like, oh, Jackie, you always travel. Like, you know, I was giving you a joke the other day. This girl, she was like in head to toe designer, like dripping, you know, like, you know, you just see dollar signs all over her. And she was like, oh, I'm so jealous of your travels. So I said to her, you know, your entire outfit could plan an amazing trip. It's just, again, priorities. And I think a lot of us who travel, again, it doesn't have to be this expensive splurge. It can be from budget to splurge. Both of us are conscientious travelers. Before COVID and this whole thing about pivoting and slow travel, you and I have a similar travel lifestyle, whereas we will go off the beaten track and we will meet local people, support local people. And it's very important, guys. Sorry for that noise in the background. It's the pool pump. Right now, we should really take a dip after this.
Oh, my goodness.
It's so humid, guys. So forgive that little noise in the background. We're outside right now. We're in Jamaica. We're on an island. You know, we didn't want to be cooped up. We're taking advantage of this weather. The breeze is so nice right now. It's rainy season, so this is the first sunny day we've had in a while. So we're, instead of being in the studio, we're outside. We're taking advantage. So, you know, Diane and I are both believers in off the beaten path travel. We're believers in slow travel. We're believers in getting to know the people. You know, a lot of people just do these whirlwind travels, and now more and more, a lot of us are into slow travel, going to a destination, actually staying for a while and really absorbing the culture. I mean, there's something to be said about the mini break too, because sometimes you need a mini break.
True.
We recently went to the grill, and that was just fantastic. You know, we did it high and low. That's the thing, you could mix it up. Posh to streets. You know, we had our posh experience, we had our street experiences, and that's the beauty of travel. Mix it up. You can budget ahead. So, you know, for the novice traveler who would like to follow in our footsteps, so to speak, what kind of, and as a travel writer too, what are some of the shifts? You've been writing about travel for over a decade now. What are some of the shifts you're seeing in the travel space, even before COVID? And of course now with COVID, and, you know, we're living with this pandemic, but what have you seen from back, you know, 10 years ago to the present day? What have you seen change?
That's really interesting, because gone are the days where you can just like grab a stamp in a passport and say, I've been to this country.
Yes.
You know, before, I would say that's like the most significant shift that I've seen, where slow travel has come to the forefront, where, you know, with the rise of sharing economies, so Airbnb, so you're not really, you know, cooped up. I call them on the compound.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
You know, or these hotels, couch surfing. You know, the sharing economy has shifted travel.
Yes. Definitely.
So you can, you know, rent a room in somebody's home, or you can rent a home itself inside a community where, you know, you'll see your neighbors walking by, getting their newspapers, getting their bread, going to the market, and you feel a little bit more immersed. So you're not quite the other, looking at it through a tour window, right? As opposed to just like really immersing yourself. And there's something to be said also for immersing yourself, because how long can you do that as well? I like to call it, you know, just being an observer.
Right.
You know, you come in seamlessly and then you leave seamlessly. You take what you can from it.
Definitely.
So I would say those would be the most, the sharing economy is something that's really rocked travel. And just really slowing down. You know, it's not just about, oh, well, I've been to Japan, boom, and then 24 hours later you're gone. Did you really see Japan?
And I'm happy you said that, because it's almost, I felt of late that people are just I've been to X amount of countries. They're counting countries. Now, I could have been to way more countries, but there are some countries I'd like to repeat. And there's I still have my list of what I want to do. But there's just some countries that are just so fascinated, and even by region, within the same boundaries, the same borders, you could get such a different vibe within these different countries. And so we're encouraging people now, you know, outside of our environmental issues, like for example, you said slow travel. Let's talk transport. I'm a lover of train travel.
Oh gosh.
I love train travel. I love, like see, villages pass by, or stopping at
Mm.
stations for a bit, hopping off,
Mm-hmm.
visiting a village or some random village for the day and hopping back on the train, and I think we should be encouraging more train travel. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the old school ways. I guess that's how some people probably feel about cruises and just being out of sea for days before they see land again. But we're really encouraging, and choose airlines that have corporate social responsibility,
Indeed.
where you could exchange, like carbon emissions, etc.
Mhm.
Have just or write to your airlines and say, hey guys, what are you doing to
Yes.
to lower your emissions, etc.
Mhm.
And there is that conscientiality
Yeah.
happening. Was that a word?
Yes.
I don't even know if that's a word. Okay, guys, well, sometimes even though we're writers, sometimes
We'll make it up
we have to
sometime,
make it up,
right?
kind of exaggerate what we're trying to perceive. And then okay, so this discussion really is a Trod type of discussion.
Yeah.
And as a filmmaker yourself too, you trod to different places, different locations, the characters that you meet for your
Yes.
shows. So Diana has an amazing production company called Urban Sass.
Yes.
Recently, some of you guys would have seen some of her new shows on air.
Yes.
And I know you want to develop some more shows
Mhm.
with a Caribbean narrative again. Our stories. In this age of diversity and Black Lives Matter. Now people are becoming more aware that Black is not a monolith.
Hello.
It's not just Black American. It's Caribbean. It's South
Yeah.
American. It's African. Even those of us Black in Europe. Those of us who have a dual cultures, third culture kids like myself,
Mhm.
born one place, raised another place, live in another place. And that's how the world is now. It's no longer static. But sometimes, you and I have discussed this. The Black narrative is always very monolithic and
Mhm.
very, look at Africa, for example. There's 50 odd countries, for crying out loud. Stop speaking about it like a country.
Yes.
But the Caribbean, I guess because people look at us as island culture, but let's just take our island, Jamaica, how
Yeah.
dynamic it is. Culture, the world knows Jamaica, whether good or bad.
Yes.
They know us
Yes.
from our music, our food, what have you. But sadly enough, we don't have much television shows coming out of the island, and
Well,
this is where
working to
you come
change
in,
that,
right?
honey.
And do some
Yes.
niche shows. So
Yeah.
tell us some more about your projects.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I'm really passionate about, like if you don't know me, you definitely should know that. I'm really passionate about Black women and their stories,
Mhm.
because me and you, solo
Mhm.
female travelers who
Mhm.
happen to be Black,
right?
that is something that people are still like looking at us in awe.
Yeah.
I've told you the story where I was on a cruise from Hong Kong to Taipei,
Mhm.
and I was the only Black person on the
Mhm.
entire ship. Didn't speak any Cantonese, and I was adopted by this Chinese family,
Yeah,
and it was awesome.
Yes.
So it's stories like that where you step out of your comfort zone
Mhm.
and then bring it back locally. Where here we are here.
Yes.
I am a Jamaican woman who
Right.
happens to be Black,
Yes.
who happens to love traveling by
Yes.
herself,
Yes.
and I want to find my kinfolk.
Right.
So a couple of the things that I've been working on is surrounding that and putting a lens in front of our stories.
Mhm.
The Caribbean isn't just about, Jamaica isn't
Yeah.
just about dance hall
Right.
and ganja
Exactly.
and the beach.
Exactly. I'm
There's
so
so
over
much
it.
more to us.
Yeah.
There's so much
Yeah,
more to us,
exactly.
and I want to show more of that.
Exactly.
So the thing that I'm really playing with now is linking what we have here in Jamaica
Mhm.
to Africa.
Yes.
So we have ancestral strong roots in Ghana
Mhm.
and strong roots in Nigeria.
Mhm.
So I want to put a lens in front of what are some of the cultural practices that have been reserved into our cultural DNA
Mhm.
here, that when an African comes here, they say, oh my God, I'm home.
Exactly.
When we go there, we say, wow, we do the same thing in Jamaica.
Exactly.
I want to show that, because I don't think that
Right.
is something that is explored so much. We
Right.
know it.
Yeah, but definitely we need some more visual documentation of that.
And that's the thing, like as a people, we're more oral,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't write anything.
Right.
We definitely don't put things down in pictures.
Mhm.
And for the generations to come, we have to build on our stories. We have to
Definitely.
keep building on that,
Definitely.
so we can stand proud and say
Mhm.
that this is us as a people.
Or it's a drink and a natter, mate.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I've got for you your vodka. So Diana's a vodka lover.
I am.
So I've made up a drink for her. So I always do a pink vodka lemonade.
Okay.
Thanks to our sponsors, Select Brands, who have provided some Sicilian lemonade and absolute vodka for us today.
Yummy.
I've got some homemade sorrel
Mm.
as well as a bit of contro. So this drink is like literally made up. Pick some mint from my garden. And I've got a couple sorrel, because the season we're in, this time of year, we've got sorrel. But sorrel's available year round now.
Yeah.
So guys, you can have this drink
Anytime.
anytime that you want. So Diana, without further ado, I'm going to fix you a drink.
Oh my God, you
Okay.
can surprise me. You're
Right,
one of
so
those only person I trust to make a drink, and it's like, yeah, if it's Jack can make it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, so basically I've got a shot of vodka, half a shot of Control here with some mint. I've had it here so the mint could infuse. So I kind of bruised it a bit, a little ice. So I'm going to now top this up with some sorrel.
Nice.
So we're having our blush Jamaican lemonade, but again, our style. So normally when you have a pink lemonade with vodka in it, it's usually some kind of berry, but we're in the Caribbean and our favorite red is sorrel. So I'm just going to add a bit more ice. So this drink is, is both tart, floral, and it's going to be fizzy with the addition of our lemonade, so that nice citrus. Sorrel usually has some spices in there. When we make our sorrel, it has like pimento, clove, cinnamon. So again, you have that spice that's happening. So we're just going to top up with a bit of Fever Tree lemonade for that fizz.
Ooh.
So, and it's nice and refreshing for a nice, hot, humid Jamaican afternoon. These are the sorrel secas, which we steep typically overnight to make this delicious red drink. Just gonna pop that in there. Girl, thank you so much for this drink and natter with me. I hope you like my made up thrown together. So she'll tell you, I've always thrown together stuff. So cheers and thank you for coming on a drink and a natter. And are you liking it? Is it good?
I love this. Oh, wow. Yes.
I have to name it after you.
Yeah.
The Urban Sass cocktail.
Ah,
Yes, so
very-
refreshing.
I love this.
So thank you guys for listening to another episode of A Drink and a Chatter with a chatter. Okay, I've only
Thank
had
you,
one
guys.
sip already, and I'm already. So thank you guys for joining us on A Drink and a Natter, and I hope you get creative with the drinks at your house. Remember, Trod, we also have a home bar cocktail series. And for each episode, we're going to have a delicious drink. And I hope you make them. Tag us if you make these drinks and let us know. All right. So thank you, Diana.
Thank you for having me.
All right. See you guys next time. Bye.
So delicious.